one, and we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela, and I have got questions for you. What opens with Bojan on the run, and what closes with Cedric and his boys on the walk? And if you guessed, in the middle, the people march. If you guessed the Quad Season 2, Episode 6, titled March, you're correct. Or if you saw it in the title when it was typed out in the thumbnail. But anyway, thank you so much for clicking on the video or joining us live and sticking around to see how we get from opening to closing. I'm Angela, and the channel is Be Fabulous You. So let us proceed. Oh, like, share, comment, subscribe, and all of those wonderful things that you wonderful folks do. We're working on 1,000 subscribers, so all of them things you do help, and I appreciate you. All right, Bojan, we see him on the field. He footballing. He gets knocked down. Then he looks up, and Taisha, our journalism student, is offering him a hand up. And then that Taisha turns into Junior, and Junior turns into his dad. And then his dad turns into the hotshot quarterback that everyone is trying to recruit. What's his name? Y'all know. And the little boy whose friend Bojan got into a fight with. And then Bojan jumps up and starts running away. He's running away. So it's like, I guess every episode opens with a dream sequence. And I think I noticed in this one someone was reading a book called March. Now, I could be wrong. But I think, and that's the title of the episode. So I need to do some more research because it's something there. I'm not swift enough to catch on. So the Sigma Kappa Mu neophytes are partying. They happy. They've been introduced. Woo! We in the fraternity. We frat. Party over here. Party over there. They happy. And then Cedric kind of looks on. He on the drier side. He not like full on, hype. He ain't in the party mode because he ain't really into he just did what he did to help the boy Bryce out, his roommate, because his roommate said he ruined his life, and he heard the boy's daddy about to kill him. Bryce is super excited, and then one guy, tall, kind of dark looking, is looking at Cedric, and he think he can just jump the line at the last minute and be ready to serve. And Bryce goes over to Cedric, who tells him, after a few days for show, I'm gonna lead a group. I did my part. I'm gonna move on, And Bryce is like, well, why don't you just leave now? Bryce is not very appreciative. And then in comes the big brothers. And they're like, yo, we saw you posted on the gram, so what y'all celebrating? And the tall dark brother is like, crossing the burning sands, brother. And I'm like, did they have a ritual? Because don't they usually have a ritual when they become members of the organizations? I did too. And he said, crossing the burning sands, brother. And, the big brothers kind of laugh. And they like, you thought that quad display meant something? And Bryce is like, yeah, you introduced us and everything. So we in. And big brother is like, nah, until you pinned and take that oath, you ain't in. Plus, you got a new light who ain't even reading cat the music. Drop down. Plus you got this new guy here who don't know nothing. So y'all drop down and give me 100. And chop chop, let's go, chop chop. And then Cedric is trying to leave, and they like, where you going? And you're not into it, you're not up for it. If you're done, so is your roomie. And then Bryce is kind of like I don't know if he just realized what was going on. And then Cedric drops down and starts participating in push-ups. But it's good for you. You're going to be like, oh, no. You don't want to be bothered. We see President Eva at her residence, and she's saying that she's having a meeting with the president of Atlanta University today. And Sydney is like, if we're not merging, then why are you all up in her butt? And President Eva is like, well, she asked, so, we're going to talk. She's had a long and successful tenure as a black woman president of a university. So maybe I can learn something from her. And then she sees Sydney staring at them drugs, and she like, why are you staring at the bottle? And Sydney is like, I'm worried about you. And President Eva is like, I've been, a lot of, it's been a lot, I'm taking that for anxiety, and it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean I can't cope or that I'm falling apart, girl. I'm fine. Just relax. You ain't got to worry about your mama. Okay, so then we see Bojan and Junior. And Bojan is like, it hurts just to breathe. And Junior is like, you got to breathe and you got to take the medicines, because that's how you're going to get better. You got to get oxygen in your system and the drugs in your system. Then the door is knocked by Taisha, and she comes in and she's ignoring Bo. And then she's like, so Junior, you coming to the rally today? And she's like, okay, good. I'll let you know where I am. I'm going to text you. And then Junior is like, Bo's coming too. And Taisha's like, Okay, so then we see Miles, and he is catching Madison on the yard. So they're talking, Miles ahead. He's the one who likes Sydney. So they're talking about the rally, and Sydney sees them, and she approaches them, and she's very confrontational. And she says, well, what are you talking about? Are you talking about my sex life? And they're like, no. She's like, well, what are you talking about? They're like, the rally. And she's like, well, why didn't you invite me? They're like, it's public knowledge. We ain't got to give you a personal invitation. Plus, you're the president's daughter, so we figure you ain't going to be participating in it. And then she says, she won't even be here at your rally today. How's that? She'll be at Atlanta State. Don't assume I'm not down. Did I say Atlanta University early? Atlanta University is a real system that Spelman, Morehouse, Morris Brown, it's like some colleges there that are all part of the Atlanta University system. I think it's all HBCUs, but this is the fictitious, I think, Atlanta State. So if I just, you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about in this context, not Atlanta University. So don't assume I'm not down. That's Sydney talking to Miles and Madison. And then we see the bus. Like, and Miles is like, I have an idea, because they're like, are you going to cancel it? And he's like, so then we see the bus. So his idea is a bus. We see students milling around on the outside, on the inside. They got signs. They, they chanting, they HBCUs matter, matter, HBCUs matter, matter. They getting hyped up. They, And Amore, who is a student, she's taking pictures, and she tells them, okay, now we need everybody to take pictures and post them to social media, even to Facebook, because old people need to know what's going on too. We see Bryce and Cedric arguing, and Cedric is upset because he got a text from, I guess, the big brothers in class telling him to leave now and come to the rally. I guess because Miles is the organizer, part of what he can do is have his little brothers come wherever he need help, they can help. So we need bodies, so y'all all coming. So he, but Cedric is like, I don't like nobody telling me what to do, when to do, how to do it, basically. So, he like, y'all getting on my nerves. I'm going to sit over here with my girl Amore. And then, they're chatting. Meanwhile, in the back of the bus, Noni and Ebony are watching. Noni, her jaws is tight. Ebony's looking kind of like, And then Ebony is like, well, it's none of our business. And Noni is like, doesn't it bother you at all? And then Ebony is like, well, we knew that it was nothing when we hooked up. We both got what we were looking for. And then one of the big brothers gets on Cedric like, hey, Cedric, we got a seat for you over here with the brothers. Why are you sitting over here? We saved you a seat over here. Come and join us in the seat that we saved for you. And so then Cedric is like to the light-skinned girl he was sitting with, I gotta go, And, the big brother kind of make a big deal of it. So it's kind of like a lot of people on the bus notice what's going on. As Sydney gets on the bus, Taisha is sitting with Maddie. And Taisha is like, oh, the president's princess is on the bus. And Sydney is like, given you don't know me at all, there is a lot you don't know about me. So I'm here to help with the social media. Because she's like, what you doing here? I didn't know I would see you. And you know, Sydney's like, I'm here to help with the social media documentation. And then Taisha's like, whatever, Miss Jimmy Choo. And then Sydney is like, we'll see who gets more hits. And then she goes and she asks a guy a question and she's filming him. And then she films Bryce as he starts to chant HBCU. They say, you know, F you, we say HBCU. They say you ain't, you not few, we say HBCU. And you know, all the people say HBCU. And then he say, you know, it's like call and response. It's cute. It's cute. We see the bus pulling off and we see students arriving at the other campus, Atlanta State University. And you know, they're chanting, they're getting their signs together. Sydney is taking pictures. Cedric jumps up on the hood of the bus and he's playing music. We gonna be all right, right? We gonna be all right. And the students are like getting all hyped and getting, you know, so they go off and they're chanting and they're marching and they got their music and they like, yes, we're here. We here. Here we is. Okay, so then we see President Eva arriving at her meeting. She on the same campus as the kids, but they don't, well, they know she there, but she don't know they there. With the black woman president, her name is of Georgia University, whatever. Y'all know the predominantly white institution, the PWI. And then, but it's a university. And, you know, they talk about how they have a mutual admiration for one another. And, you know, the hostess, the host president, the other president is like, well, you know, can I get you some sweet tea? So do you prefer small talk or do you want to just jump right into business? And President Eva is like, I'm divorced. I have one daughter. I love shoes and I hate suits. That's the small talk. And then the other president is like, I have a husband, twins. I love clothes and I wore this suit for you. And then, so I want you to hear it from me. I know the white male Clayton who you were meeting with, he is a good man, but he's still a white man. So I want you to hear it from me that I may be the president of a PWI, a predominantly white institution, but my heart runs HBCU because I am a graduate of HBCU, you know, whichever HBCU she's a graduate of. So she's, you know, a graduate of a historically black college or university, and her heart is HBCU, and I respect your students who are black like me. And President Eva is like, well, how can, you know, we as the underdog win in this situation? This just does not look like a good situation for us. And the other president is like, well, keeping the doors open is a good situation for you. If you close down, you're not going to win. So, and then President Eva is like, well, you know, I just had to make, you know, a really unpopular decision by canceling the spring dance. And the other president is like, if you were part of the Georgia University system, you would not have these problems. And President Eva is like, yeah, we just have new problems. And the other president is like, let me refill your sweet tea. And then meanwhile, on the yard, there's some All Lives Matter people who have gathered around the children from GAMU. And, you know, they're like, you know, holding up their signs and, you know, there's some interaction. So they're protesting the protest. And then Cedric is like explaining, you know, he up there talking like, you know, we want to keep our independence, or I don't know what he's saying. And then one of the white Georgia University students approaches Sydney, Sydney's white roommate, Maddie. And it's all cool. You know, they chit-chat and it seemed friendly enough until Maddie realizes that this guy, Trevor, is like, his take is HBCUs matter. He like, you know, HBCUs matter, reading the signs. Black power. I mean, what does this have to do with you? Are you majoring in black history as it happens or something? And Maddie is like, no, I'm majoring in engineering. And I'm somebody who cares about equal rights for all. And then Trevor is like, so you're giving up what our ancestors fought for? And then Maddie is like, she kind of leave him alone. And then we see Sydney, and she is, you know, still documenting. She's interviewing two white girls, two young white women or whatever. And one is wearing like a Confederate flag as a cape, you know. And, she's like, oh, you know, I didn't know the alt-right, Sydney, I didn't know the alt-right was here. And they're like, well, we're not alt-right. Or one of them says, you know, we just believe in, you know, our whiteness, or whatever they were saying. So, you know, they're kind of talking. The other girl is like, you know, we don't need to merge with Monkey State. And Sydney's like, no, what now? And then in the meantime, Maddie has kind of noticed that Sydney is talking to those people, and she can see what kind of people they are by the, you know, the Confederate flag cape. You know, they gave her a little hint. So she's like kind of come over in the meantime. And then they're like, get back to where you belong, you know. And then Sydney is like, I belong wherever I am. And then come back. And then they say to the white, then we hear somebody saying to the quarterback, you know, only reason those monkeys won, or that black school won, is because they had a white quarterback. Come back to the right side, my confused white brother. And then, you know, there's like escalation. Maddie ends up getting hit in the head with a bottle. Ebony is defending Nodi. We see pushing, we see punching. And meanwhile, the presidents have been summoned by the president of the university system's assistant. And then the Popo are there the next time we see they arresting folks. President Eva comes out. She tries to get the cop to give her the bullhorn, and the cop is like, you know, leave, blah, 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 blah. And President Eva is like, if any of my students get hurt, your badge will be added to my collection. And she called the name of the cop who arrested her, and then he ends up giving her his bullhorn. And then she's like, okay, GAMU students, you know, you made your point, you know, I'm here for you, and I hear you, and I will address all of your concerns once we are safely back on our campus. And then the other president tells the ASU students that she will be speaking to the police to deal with this blatant display of racism. GAMU students, your President Eva has your back. Go home, be safe. And then President Eva says to Cedric, can you help? She's good for being a damsel in distress, our Eva. And then Cedric gets on the mic, and he's like, you know, I'm not about the BS. You know, Dr. Fletcher is going to ride back on the bus with us. And they hadn't discussed it. He like, right? And she's like, yeah. And then, so we can talk. And Miles is like, well, our goal was being heard, so it's been accomplished. If Dr. Fletcher gets on the bus, you know, we're all happy. So, you know, okay. So then we see Dr. Eva saying to Sydney when she notices her, what are you doing here? And then we see Sydney and Maddie later on the bus talking, and Maddie is like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know. And Sydney's like, what's up? And Maddie's like, I just can't imagine how this can be fixed. And then they're hugging, and, you know, whatever. It's a kumbaya moment. And then but it is nice for me as a black person, or as me, I can't, but you know, for my black behind to see that Maddie she got hit in the head with the bottle, so she has a bruise. And then we know Bojan is bruised. A lot of times in the media, it seems like it's always the black people who be beat up and bruised and brutalized. So I'm not saying I want them to be beat up, but it's like a nice change, like, oh, the white people are hurt, not the black people. I mean, in that sense, in that moment. We see President Eva on the bus, and then Miles is like, you know, saying to Cedric, you know, good job, you know, Sigma Mu style, you like a leader. And Cedric like, yeah, you know. And then Bryce is like looking, you know, kind of tense, like, Rrr. And then we see Dr. Eva, and she talks to the group, and she's like, you know, you need to trust that I am doing everything I can to keep Georgia A&M. And then Taisha is rolling her eyes at Bojan, and then Junior is like, I mean, can we just, you know, squash this? I mean, y'all are we just friends. Can't we just get along? And Taisha's like, all that's needed is an apology. He acted like a fool out here fighting people and carrying on. It's not cute. I don't like it. And Bojan is like, well, you were flirting with that guy. And Junior is like, well, who cares if she flirts with... What? Y'all smashing? And he says it kind of loud. And then everybody on the bus basically turns and looks. And then Taisha looks really embarrassed. Like, And then we see Cedric in the dorm. he's like, Noni, Noni. And she's trying to get away from him, but she stops and she comes back. Hey, welcome on the chat. And then she's like, what? And then Cedric is like, is everything okay? I mean, is Brownman okay? And Noni is like, well, why don't you ask her yourself? And Cedric is like, well, I just asked you. Can't you just tell me? And Noni is like, well, she's doing as well as she can. You know, my roommate and my best friend is doing as well as she can. You know, since you had sex with my roommate and you cheated. I mean, you cheated on my roommate and had sex with my best friend. And then now you've moved on to the other person, the one young woman he was talking to on the bus. And then you're on to the next. And then Cedric is like, you watching me? You acting like we broke up. And Noni is like, you hurt my best friend and my roommate. And Cedric is like, everybody's cool. I don't know why you tripping. We all good. We see Bojan and Junior in the room and they're not talking. And then in comes Taisha. And then Junior leaves and he's like, you know, they're like, you don't have to leave. He's like, I'm not going to be the third wheel type. And then why wouldn't you all just tell me? And then Taisha says to Bojan after Junior leaves, you know, we may be like brother and sister now, but he used to have a crush on me. And Bojan was like, well, he was going to get hurt either way then, you know, but you're ashamed of me. And Taisha's like, you know, I'm not ashamed of you. I just don't want to be known as that girl. I was with the one football player all last year and now I'm with another football player. Like, I don't want to be that girl who, like, you know, is doing the whole football team. And, you know, Bojan is like, I was so proud to be with you, but you always say you wish I was not white. And you, I'm always going to be white. You know, I'm always going to be a footballer. And that's just who I am. And I can't change. And Taisha's like, okay, so then we're in Ebony's room and Cedric knocks on the door and enters and she's kind of dry. And, you know, they kind of chit chat about their experience at the rally and then another day of blackness with no reprieve. And, you know, Ebony's like, oh, you know, it sounds like you working on some lyrics or whatever, but, you know, I ain't got time, you know, bye. And then Cedric is like, well, you know, let's talk. You know, what's up? Why didn't you just tell me that you were feeling me? You know, and she's like, that Noni. And he's like, well, Noni was just trying to, like, you know, do what she thought was right. And Ebony is like, well, how would I look? You know, here you are with your girlfriend, then you leave your girlfriend, then you with me, then you on to the next. You know, how would I look? You know, how would that look? You feeling everybody. And Cedric is like, you didn't answer my question. And he move all into her personal space. And Ebony is like, I'm feeling you. And then they start making out and then the door is knocked and then it's like urgently and then Bryce comes in. He's like, Sid, we gotta go. We gotta go, man, right now. We gotta go. And Ebony is like, you serious? And Cedric is like, I gotta go. And then we see President Fletcher. She's at home. She gets a call from President Helen. That's the president of the predominantly white institution, the PWI. And she's like, I'm dealing with y'all white folk here. You know, how are your students doing? You know, I shudder to think what could have happened. Let me know if we can do anything, you know, when we can get together to get another meeting, you know, check your schedule so we can try again, give it another shot. And President Eva is like, okay, we'll do. And then the other president, Helen, is like, well, in the meantime, I got a friend at Piedmont and we found money for your spring festival. You're not happy? And Eva's like, the problem is I've been begging folks for money all over the place, including Piedmont, for money to keep the doors open. And they step up to fund a party. And then President Helen is like, well, we know it's not just a party. And President Eva is like, what about the leaky pipes? What about keeping the lights on? And then the other president is like, okay, girl, I'll talk to you later. And then we see Sydney coming in and President Eva is like, what the hell were you doing? I need one ally, just one ally. And your behind is there, you know, protesting and carrying on against me. You know, we're in enemy territory. And then there your behind is. And Sydney is like, look, I know this hasn't been easy, but that's why I was there. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand why kids who don't care about anything are willing to get hurt and care so much about this. And then, you know, just to be heard. They out there just trying to be heard, you know. I think, mommy, that you need to do whatever you have to do to save the school, you know, and things have been different after I got raped, and I am different. And President Eva is like, you really have found your voice. And Sydney is like, I got some footage. You want to see? I think it may help you. And then we see Bojan, and he's watching a press conference where the big shot, you know, young guy who's everybody's trying to recruit, who's going around every campus he go to, he tell the quarterback, I'm going to have your job. I'm going to have your job. He had told Bojan, I'm going to have your job. And then Bojan's Taisha's all like, oh, it's the best interview I ever had. So that guy, that dude is, so Bojan is watching a press conference where the big shot recruit is like, because of what happened today, you know, I decided that I need to come to GAMU. You know, my uncle is there. My people are there. I need to be here and bring this talent and all of this to GAMU. And then Bojan is upset. And then we see Sydney showing Maddie the first cut of her video. Like, I know it's late and you're tired, but do you want to watch? And we see some of the footage of the video. And then we see the Sigma Mu pledges being hazed. They're talking about history. They like in the push-up position, but like on their elbows in the dirt and in the rocks and stuff. And then, you know, black professionals were without options. You know, they have to recite the history of the organization while they're under tense situations. And then, you know, they're like, well, you can thank your new line brother Cedric for his independent thinking. Maybe next time he'll think twice before he breaks from his brothers to be with a peace. Now, I didn't like that, but I was kind of appreciating the fact that, you know, I never really thought about hazing in the context of, you know, kind of training them to remember who they are, even under stressful situations, under stressful, intense circumstances, to stay connected to who they are, to know their history, to know what's going on and why. So that's what this scene kind of did, and it kind of juxtaposed for me, like even under the pressures of keeping the doors open, and the children getting sick, but we got to know our history. We have to preserve what's ours. We have to stay connected to ourselves, you know, even when it's you know. And then Miles is like, there is no room here for mistakes. And I think, you know, that you do want to think twice about, you know, what your values are, what's important. Is it this woman? Is it these men? Is it the brotherhood? Is it the family? Is it the community? Is it just you? You know, what are your values? So I think it's good to think twice or three times and reevaluate and evaluate situations. And Miles is like, there's no room here for mistakes. When our forefathers made mistakes, it cost them their lives. And they had also been talking about, this is the place where so-and-so would help enslaved people become free, or help guide them toward freedom. And, you know, and so this is where our founder helped guide runaways north. And we will not forget where we come from. And then they blindfold them. Even in the darkness, we're going to see the truth. We're going to know the truth. And then they leaving. And the little brothers they blindfolded. And Cedric is like, are they leaving us? And they're like, no, don't take off your blindfold. He take off his blindfold. He like, they done left us out here in the middle of nowhere. And I just realized then all of a sudden they just in their boxer shorts. They ain't got on no socks. They ain't got on no shoes. They ain't got on the top. They ain't got on a hat, just the shorts. And they got to walk home. So, you know, it's kind of like being an enslaved, you know, somebody who on the run or who got to walk. You know, you just out here. It ain't the most comfortable situation. It ain't necessarily what you want to do. It ain't what you thought you was signing up for. But here you are. So that was Quad, the march. So they out here. Yeah, so I'm enjoying it. It was an excellent episode. I think I've given I would give all of the episodes this season an A or A minus. So yay. Today is the best day ever. You are the greatest. You're the number one you. So be you, be fabulous you. We got notes on the news coming up. I'm going to do right now some reading from the Independent Black Agenda, put together by the Federation of the Independent Black Agenda, also known as FATIVA, a plan for self-determination. So we just reading through. I got to kind of hurry up and finish it so that I can get it back to the person who gave it to me. So that's